This was your first year under Brad. Just what did the news sound like to you today? How tough was that to hear, or what do you think of the decision?
Yeah, it's obviously a tough decision. Wasn't the best year we had here this year, but I learned a lot from him. He's a good man. Like I said, he did some good things with us this year, and learned a lot of stuff from him as a person, and really good person as well. So I just wish him the best.
If somebody from the outside just looked at the standings, they would think this was a pretty dire situation. When you've been in that room, you know the players around you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get the sense that this can turn around fairly quickly?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. Obviously, like you said, it wasn't the best year, but just the way we were fighting injuries all year long. And, before that, I know we didn't get off to a good start. I think we were 3-9, but, we had a complete new team, and sometimes that takes a little bit of time to get to know the guys around the locker room and stuff. But once injuries happen, it it's kind of a trickling downfall effect, and that hurt us for sure. But we've got a lot of good players in our locker room, and a lot of young players who came up and stepped up and was a big role in our team this year. So gave them opportunity to play, and they ran with it, and it was fun to watch and be a part of.
We've all seen you on the ice all season, but obviously there were a lot of changes in your life off the ice, having a kid, moving to a completely new place. Can you just talk about the way you adjusted and how that's gone so far, almost a year later?
Yeah, it was a wild year. Like you said, complete new organization, new city, new home, new kid. A lot to be excited about and happy about, but at the same time, you kind of got a lot on your plate. So, but I thought, I did a good job managing that, and even though it was a rough year for us, with wins and not making the playoffs, I enjoyed my time here every single day. Came to the rink, I had a blast, and got to meet a lot of some guys that probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to play on our team, and I feel like I know every player in the organization now. So that's great. Coming into training camp next year, everyone will be on a first name basis and their nicknames, and I feel a lot more comfortable coming into training camp next year.
I'm sure when you signed here, it wasn't to sign up for a rebuild for a team that's trying to go, climb up from the bottom, but it seemed like that sort of happened, obviously, with the injuries and everything else, and you get in all those young players. How excited are you, I guess, to just be part of this now, be at the front of this with Line and Jenner and all these other guys, to kind of grow this thing here and rise from the ashes, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. We're not far off. Even with where we ended up in the standings, with the guys that you're missing for the whole year and half the year and 20 games, 30 games, it's those are huge players and important players on our team. So, like when you lose a guy like Zach Werenski, there's no replacing a guy like that, and it's hard, and you kind of got to fight through it. But like I said, I think we have a really good group in our locker room, and I'm really excited to see the way we come in next year, because it's gonna be fun.
Johnny, I don't know how much you've paid attention to draft lotteries since you've been in the league, but is it safe to say you'll be paying attention to this one maybe more than usual?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really know how they work with the percentages and where you end up, but I'll definitely pay attention to this one for sure. And there's a few good players, a lot of good players in the draft, I'm sure, and it'll be exciting to see where we end up and who we pick. But I'll pay attention for sure.
You sit just a few stalls away from Marchenko in the dressing room. I wonder if you can. Everybody sees the goals and how he played as a rookie and how impressive that was.
Yeah.
What has he brought to the room in terms of attitude and energy?
Yeah, he's an awesome kid. I love Marchie. He's got a great sense of humor, great teammate, awesome player. He's got a great shot, but it's just his energy. He's always happy, always walking in the rink with a smile, and that's contagious. Even when you're having a rough year, as a team-wise, when you have guys who are excited to come to the rink and practice and work and try to get better every day, it's it's contagious, and that's what helps your team get better. So, and there's a handful of guys in there that do the same thing, and they could kind of shut it down and be upset or mad. Maybe they're not scoring this and that and not playing well, but everyone was had a great attitude this year, even with the way it went, and I was happy how we came into games. We were all excited, ready to play, and I think that's what's good for our team, and it's going to be good for the future.
Johnny, just the way the season worked, injuries kind of derailed it early. Just how were you guys able to grind through so many injuries, knowing that there really wasn't a lot to play for from a playoff standpoint from an early part of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's still our job. We want to win, and for me, I mean, the support we got from our fans, that's something that should want to fire you up and try to get a win in front of a building that's cheering you on when you're not having the best year. So, I think I took a lot of effort into that and realized how special of a fan group we have here. And it was awesome all year long, the way they supported us. So, even when you're having those rough seasons and you're losing games, it's not just about the team, it's about the city and the way they support you. And it was awesome all year long.
Kind of building off that, this was your first season living in Ohio, living closer to home. Off the ice for you, your wife, your daughter, how did that go for you off the ice, and did you enjoy your experience here that way? Yeah,
it was great. It was, it was different for sure, having a kid at the house, but it was awesome. We had a lot of fun with her. She's getting bigger. She's almost 6 months now. I feel like it's just yesterday that signed here and she was born, and everyone was congratulating me. So, but it was we loved our time here so far this season. We live in a nice neighborhood. People are super friendly, and it was a lot of fun this year.
Is it nice to be closer to home?
Yeah, I love that part too, for sure. I said it a few times. It was like a open door policy at our house. Meredith's family was coming in whenever they want. My dad, I swear, I don't even know if he left. Just on the road trips. But it's great. My mom and dad, they love spending time with Noah, and they help us out a lot with the baby. So to have family to come and cheer you on for the hockey part's great. But I think they're coming to see her a little bit more, I think, this year. But it was awesome. I loved it.
Johnny, all that builds into a more stable off season for you this year, right? I mean, last year was kind of tumultuous. How much will a more even keel off season help you once you start preparing for the season? Yeah. Last
summer was stressful. Yeah. But this year it's going to be a lot easier. I know where I'm at. Where I'm going to be for the next 7 years. So, I can just kind of focus on training and. Spend some time with family, and because last year it was like draining throughout the summer, not knowing what I was going to do and where I was going to play. So I'm pretty excited to kind of just have a little more relaxed summer and get my training done and skate it a little bit more and try to come in, really, really prepared for next season.
A fun one for you. How are you with the cannon now?
I think I'm good. I mean, you guys see me out there. I don't jump anymore, and I know when they're coming. Start of the game, if we win, at the end of the game, and after every goal. So I did my homework, and after the first few games, I was good. So
I don't think anybody expected another 115-point season out of you. Nobody expects a repeat of that. But what can you say about the way you played this season? Kept almost a point a game pace. Were you pleased with the way things went?
Yeah, no, I could be better. I could be better in my own zone. I think, coming into this year, a complete new system. I always played man-on-man for my 8-9 years of my career. Didn't matter what coach. It was always, for some reason, man-on-man. And this year was a little different. We played a little different of a system. So I got caught a couple times throughout the season in the D zone, just not knowing where I should go. And it was frustrating at times because it's in the back, printed in the back of your mind. You've been doing the same thing for 9 years, so I'm going to definitely have to kind of nip that in the butt and get better at that part. But, offensively, I still think I could have, did a little bit more. Like you said, I try not to base my stuff on points and stuff, and obviously I had a lot last year and not as many this year, but I think I can play a lot more in the offensive zone and drive the pace a little bit more, and that's what I'm going to try to work on this summer and get back to that next season.
Hey, Z, I know you were one of the guys who were really excited when Brad got the job 2 years ago. How tough is this day to get this news to, just that it didn't work out?
Yeah, it's tough. I've been with Lars for 7+ years now. I think only Booner's been longer with him, I want to say 10 years. So the relationship goes deep. It goes back a long time. Since my first pro game, I've known Lars, and obviously it's a tough situation. And I think as players too, and as competitors, like, it's on us a little bit, right? Like, we didn't play to a standard, and you never want to see someone get let go because of on-ice play, right? But it's part of the business, and so yeah, no, it's definitely tough. But like I said, it's part of it.
Z, we've talked about it all season, including your injury. The injuries just wrecked this team early. So I'm sure that leaves a lot of motivation for next season for all of you guys coming back. Jarmo was in here earlier, and basically, talked about speeding up the timeline a little bit. We're tired of losing. We want to get back to the playoffs. What is the team focus, your focus, as you look forward to next season?
Yeah, I think everyone's just got to look in the mirror and just say, this year wasn't good enough. Myself included. It's a freak thing, but I can't get hurt. It's one of those things. I got to play 72, 75, 80 games, and that goes for a lot of guys. Obviously freak things happen, but I think going into the off season, guys can take a little break. I don't want to say forget about it, because these are things that should motivate you, to not go through this year again. But guys can look in the mirror, and I think collectively we can, be more conditioned, be in better shape, be stronger, and then come training camp time, it's going to be hard. We can't go through years like this again. It's one of those things, I think Jarmo said, we have to speed this up. We're not, as players, you don't want to go through it. You only have so many years in your career, and obviously none of the fans, you guys, management, no one wants to go through this. So I think it's on us to speed it up.
He was also mentioning that there's going to be changes, obviously. They're starting today with the coaches and stuff. But when you look around the room at what is already here, do you see a team that can make a big rebound next year?
Yeah, 100%. I think you look at guys like, Booner, myself that have been here for a while. You had Johnny, Curls, Goody. You got guys like KJ and Marchie who took huge steps. He's Silly, tough year for Silly, but he's a guy that gets it, right? He's a true pro, and I'm sure he's going to have a big summer. You got Chinny. We have guys here that can really do damage in this league. I think it's on us as leaders to make sure guys are ready to go come training camp and have good off seasons. And I don't think we're far off. It's just making sure we're all on the same page come camp.
That kind of building off of that, that's personnel. What about culture? Because we saw this team that was way down and undermanned in a lot of games still battle through. Where's the culture at right now in this room in terms of what they're going to carry forward to next year?
Yeah, I think this year was tough a little bit with the culture side of things, with all the injuries, guys coming up, going down, just trades, whatever it may be. I think, most years you kind of have your group, and then there's injuries along the way, where this year it was just, I was introducing myself to guys every morning, it felt like, which is, it's kind of hard to build a culture that way. I think we can definitely do a better job as leaders of, I don't want to say the culture wasn't good at all, because it was, right? We have a close group in there, but I think just in terms of standard, we have to set the standard higher, and we got to make sure young guys know that this isn't acceptable. We know it's not acceptable. We've been on winning teams, and we have to get our standard back there, and that starts with us and building that culture. And like I said, I think we have really good pieces in there. The guys I named, we're not far off. It's just making sure we help them get there, and we help this team get in the right direction.
Zach, how are you feeling? How's the rehab going? And do you feel like that you guys need to use the summer to make any sort of adjustments to training just to make sure you're fully ready for next year?
Yeah, I feel really good right now. Every day I'm feeling better. I've been on the ice obviously for a few weeks now, and I feel really good. So that's obviously a positive going into a long off season. In terms of training, I think everyone's a little bit different. I know what I like to do, and I think for me, it's even doing a little bit more this summer. In terms of other guys, I would, challenge them to do the same thing. Everyone has their routine, but let's make sure we give a little more this summer, so we're not in this situation again next season. And whatever it is that may be, whether it's mobility, strength, cardio, there's so many options and different ways to get better. I think it's just looking in the mirror and doing a little bit more than we've done in the past to make sure we're not here again.
As a veteran of this team, how difficult was it to try and be a leader when you're not on the ice for most of the season?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think when you're on the ice and you're going through it with the guys, it's definitely easier. You kind of get a temperature of the room. You get a feel for what's going on, what the game's like. It's hard watching on TV or from up above every time. And then it's also hard too because you're not trying to mess up guys' routines and ask them questions and talk to them. So you kind of try and stay out of it. But I think I learned a lot this year just from. I think I was around the rink more, whether I was working out or just hanging out because I had nothing else to do. So I got to see a lot and kind of hear a lot and learn from guys and whatnot. But it was definitely tough in that aspect. Obviously, I wanted to be out there helping the guys and being a leader that way. But I'm just excited for next season to get back on the ice again and get playing.
See, I'm not sure how much you've paid attention to draft lotteries in the past, but is it safe to assume you'll be tuned in on this one next month?
Oh yeah, I'll be tuned in. Yeah, it's a big one, obviously. I think you have the Bedard, who everyone's talking about, and rightfully so. But you had a couple guys behind him too that, yeah. I mean, wouldn't be so bad, right? But no, honestly, it's one of those things where everything I'm kind of hearing and reading on it, I know that Fantilli could probably be a number one in any other draft. That Michkov, Will Smith from the U.S. program, a couple other guys, right? So I think it's a deep draft, which is a good thing in the position we're in. Whoever we get, it's going to be a help for this team, and but yeah, I'll be tuned in, see what happens.
I'm just curious, being able to watch the game, seeing other defensemen get opportunities that they might not have otherwise given the way the season went. What did you think of some of the performances of those guys with that opportunity?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's one of those things where, even if guys struggled maybe a little bit at certain times, you learn from it, right? And then, you learn from it, you go into an off season, you work on things, you get better, and then next year when you're in these positions, you've been there before, right? I've gone through my growing pains as a defenseman. It's well documented with torts, and it's hard, right? Playing defense in this league is, like they say, it takes the longest to kind of figure it out, right? So I think we had two guys over 150 games, Boki and Peeker, and then Bayreuther. So we were young decor, right? And I think a lot of guys did a lot of good things, right? They stepped up, played a lot of minutes. It's a tough league, and I think it's a great learning experience for a lot of guys.
With your relationship with Brendan Naurato, the Michigan coach, obviously, do you have a insight on Fantilli? Have you talked to him about Fantilli at all?
I skate with Fantilli in the summers. So last summer was the first summer I skated with him. So I know him a little bit just from that and being on ice with him. Obviously, they speak super highly of his game in general. I think the one thing that sticks out with him, though, it's he has the points, but he also plays in the dirty areas. He's throwing his body around. I went and watched him play OSU in the Big Ten championship or semifinals at Yost a few weeks ago, and obviously I see it in the summer and I see it on TV, but seeing it live, he's a workhorse. His engine doesn't stop going, and those are good players. Those are guys you can't really find. So, like I said, I think this draft's a good draft to be picking high in, and we're gonna get a good player.
Last one for me is it's been a couple of years now since you've played with Seth Jones. I guess it would be fair to say they're still kind of looking for that full-time partner for you up there. You've had some time with Boquist. Do you like having a guy who's a right-hand shot? Is that a little easier? Passing and that kind of thing. And did you like your time with Boquist? Would you like to kind of see that continue a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's definitely easier playing with a righty, just naturally. Your forehands are facing each other. There's some guys that can play the right side as lefties and vice versa. and they're good at it. But I think just naturally playing with the righties ideal. And Bo's a really good hockey player. I like playing with Bo. It's tough now because I didn't play all season, so those sample sizes are small. But I think we've seen what Bo can do and how he sees the game. He thinks it how I think it, right? And I think when you can get your mentality and kind of how you think the game on the same wavelength, good things can happen. Me and Jonesy kind of had that same thought process and worked out well for a while. But yeah, I like playing with Bo. He's a really good hockey player. Like I said, it's hard because I haven't played in a while, so I don't even know what playing hockey feels like at this point. But no, he's a good player.
So you've worked with Narado the last several summers. He's a big-time college coach now. Can that continue? Do you still train with him in the summertime?
Yeah, I think he can do NHL guys. He just can't. Yeah, I think if you're a college coach, you just can't coach college or train college players. But I haven't really talked to him about this summer coming up yet. Obviously, a big extension and them in the Frozen Four. I'm not going to ask him, right now. But I think he still can do NHL guys, which is nice because he's been a big help in my career.
Not to break down every single defenseman in the organization, but there's a lot of talk about Juracek coming up. How much have you observed of his game? And again, you haven't been on the ice with him, but how much can you foresee maybe that pairing working as we look towards the future of the blue line here on this team?
Yeah, he's, obviously he was highly touted coming out of the draft. Saw it in training camp, how he sees the game, how he thinks it. Goes to the American League, he's an all-star there, which is a hard thing to do, especially as a young guy, as a defenseman. Goes to World Juniors, he's the best player on the ice. Comes up here, and I thought each game he played here, he got better. I think his last game was Philly. Just the plays he was making and the confidence he played with, you can definitely see it. Everything's there. So I can definitely see that working in the future, and whether it's next season or whenever that may be. I know he's kind of got all the accolades and the next steps here, so it's exciting for sure.
With the whole draft process, how do you process, you and your teammates, that some fans are rooting against you, and they're disappointed that you beat Pittsburgh the other night?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. There's always stuff to be disappointed about when you're fans. We see it on Twitter all the time and social media. But as competitors, I don't think there's a guy in the league that's going to try and lose a hockey game. Guys want to win no matter what the situation is, no matter what the draft lottery is, or Connor Bedard or whatever it may be. I think when you put a jersey on, you play in the NHL, it's a privilege, and you got to do your best to try and win hockey games. And I give our team a lot of credit. It's a veteran Pittsburgh hockey team. We had a lot of young guys, first games. It's a great experience for those guys. It's cool memories, and obviously fans might not like it, but I don't really care.
I mean, obviously, I think you might have spent the most time as a player with Lars around. Can you maybe just kind of give us some reflections of your thoughts on Lars and maybe the decision today as well? I know it's a tough day.
Yeah, it's a difficult day. For me personally, going back a lot of years, 11, 12 years with him. I started in Springfield, assistant coach there, and then head coach there. It's the first time playing for him, and coming up here, assistant coach for years and a head coach. So I've been through the ups and downs with him and learned a lot from him. So he's a great man, and I truly wish nothing but the best for him and his family, his two kids and his wife. So great man, and it's a tough day for sure.
Boone, a lot of talk about the culture. Just from your point of view as the captain, where do you feel like that the culture of the team within the room is at, and what opportunities are there to get better?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to get better, but a season like this, you're going to look at everything. I think we have to all look ourselves in the mirror. It's a difficult year, but if you don't learn some things from it or make yourself better, it's a waste. So, we went through it. But now is our chance to fix it, and it falls on myself, the guys in the room, take a step here and push ourselves. I mean, you want to talk about culture and all that, it's not where it needs to be. Just with the spot we're in right now, we need to be in the playoffs. So that's on us to build that.
kind of building on that thought about playoffs, Yarmo was kind of saying the same thing, or he was definitely saying the same thing earlier today. He wants a quick bounce back next year. You know, when you look around the room, you see, you know the talent that's in there. Do you feel like if you guys stay healthy and the right things happen in the offseason that can happen next year?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing where it kind of excites me with how tough this year's been, but knowing what's in that room, and you know, this year we didn't have a full lineup most of the year, let's be honest, and it was tough to, you know, see our team together, you know, for a stretch of 4 games together, whatever it was. But the young guys, the steps they took, some pieces that we added, it's super exciting. Where, you know, we're not far off from that, but there's a lot of work to be done, and to realize that, and it's exciting, but it's you know, it's a challenge for our group, and you know, we're ready for it. Going through this year, like I said, it's a learning process that we have to grow from as a group.
Boone, a young player might not reach out to a coach in this situation, but given your history, did you reach out to Lars at all? Did you have a conversation with him today?
Honestly, not yet. You know, it's a tough day. I'll be around for a bit, and I'm sure I'll meet up with him. You know, probably face to face and chat with him. But yeah, not yet.
You are kind of part of the leadership group with him, you know, as a captain of the team. Given that, when you have a coach who gets dismissed, you got to feel a little bit too, I'd imagine, right, as a captain of the team?
Big time. I think, you know, all year, you know, the spot we're in, we take a lot of pride in winning games and having a culture and, you know, trying to push for the playoffs. And when you're in this spot, it falls on, you know, our shoulders as well, everybody. So we're all in it together. And, you know, for us, it's difficult to see the coach go, but we have to take responsibility too as players. We know that. So, you know, as far as that goes, like I said, it's on us to be better.
Boone, how are you feeling first off?
Good, yeah, much better.
Okay, and then being able, you saw all the injuries, obviously, that everyone gone through. How are you able to, as a leader, keep as much of a positive attitude as possible, knowing how many injuries there were, knowing that kind of early in the season, it was kind of the writing on the wall already, but how did you keep everything as even keel as possible, and just knowing how difficult that would be?
No, yeah, that's our job, and you know, things are going to happen in this league, and adversity hits, and this year it seemed like, you know, there was a stretch where it was every other night. Something was happening, and different guys were coming up and getting opportunities. So, you know, the guys that came up and helped us along the way did a great job and stepped right in. And a lot of guys in our room that, you know, had to take on a bigger responsibility too. And I think that's, you know, that's good for them. They got to feel that and play more different situations wherever it may be. So in all of that, there's a silver lining of growth. You know, things are tough, guys are out, but it's an opportunity for other guys, and yeah.
Last one from me is about the potential next coach. Is it something that you would want to have maybe a little bit of an input when you talk to Yarmo and the management about what kind of a coach would be a good fit for your team?
Yeah, I think I'm sure I'll talk to him about that. I don't know names or specifically who. You know, I've had just the 3 coaches here, but you know, I think we'll talk about where we see our group and what kind of coach or coaching style, I guess, you know, would help us.
Just one more for you, Boone. That's just on the summer that's ahead for you. You're going to get married and all that. How much do you look forward to having a real positive summer and having kind of a life-changing kind of summer as well?
Yeah, it's going to be a big one for sure. You know, I'm excited for it. Just right now with the year that we had, just kind of, you know, reflecting and you know, getting right back to work, and then yeah, for me personally, getting married, and it's going to be fun. So me and my fiance are you know, right in the thick of planning all that, learning how much goes into it now, but we're pretty pumped. So it'll be a fun summer. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, if they want to come, they're invited.
Fans invited?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
You don't want to invite me, I might say yes.
Yeah.
They'll bring a good gift. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
There's been just kind of a lot of talk throughout the season, you know, all the adversity this team faced, making sure there are things you can learn from it and take from it, and probably haven't had a chance to totally digest it yet, but are there things that you think you've learned, things you're going to be able to take from a season like this and apply it going forward as you guys try to make sure something like that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I think a lot of things and the hardships of, you know, when you're down and out, how are you going to push through it? And it's going to happen again. But you know, if you learn how to put yourself, you know, through that, or when things aren't going well, you're not feeling well, how do you get through it? And you know, there's going to be times where we're right in the playoffs and something happens. And if you learn from these instances, you're going to be better off for it as a group. So personally or individually, and you know, as a group, to go through it together is it's important. It's not fun. It's been a really tough year, but like I said, it's you know, something to learn from, and you know, remember those feelings and how you don't want to go back to it.
You talked about last night after the game how you've been Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, and you've been on a team like this who's obviously had a rough season. Is there anything that you learned when you were in Boston playing in the highest stakes that you can pass along to the younger guys here who maybe haven't gotten experience in the playoffs yet to help them reach the playoffs?
Yeah, of course, plenty of things. I was obviously very lucky to be in a room full of a lot of great players and leaders, and I think, you know, most of their stuff, what I learned from them is it's an example, and you got to lead by example. So it's something that, you know, I think I could do better of is do that. And we also got some good leaders in Boone and Z on this team that you know, have been here for a while and had success. You know, not recently, but so those are guys you can look to also. But yeah, what I've learned is it's let me see it, don't tell me about it. So try and do as much of that as you can.
Sean Yarmer said it, and a lot of players as well before you that came in, the phrase, there needs to be a higher standard. What does that mean to you?
Well, higher standard, yeah, there's no question. So you start there, you say we need a higher standard. The results speak for themselves. If we don't raise the standard, it's, you know, the results won't change, and we need these results to change. So how do you raise the standard? I mean, you act like a pro, you do, you know, what you need to do away from the rink. You know, I think it's different for every single guy. How do we raise the standard? I think, you know, as a group, we're gonna have to talk about what that exactly means. Does that mean, you know, little pieces, little details? To me, it's mostly about little details and some things that you can seem might not matter, but yeah, details, little things. So yeah, those are all, you know, the standard will be raised by, you know, everyone sticking to the details and doing the little things correctly, and hopefully creating a, you know, a culture of little things matter.
Sean, what's your reaction to the coaching change?
Yeah, obviously it's tough. It's really tough to see. It's, you know, Lars is a guy that, you know, it's anyone that loses their job is not fun. It's not a fun thing to see, and obviously a good man, and it's a sad day. And as a player, it's you never want to be on a team that has a coach you know, relieved of his duties. So you take it upon yourself as a player that we can be better, and we're going to have to be better.
Sean, you've been part of some really good teams, as you've mentioned, with you know, Boston going to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. So you know what a good team looks like from the player perspective. When you look around the room, I know it's a young team still, a lot of talent. What do you see as you look around the room as we look toward next season? And Jarmo's talking like he's approaching this offseason like we want to make a big rebound next year.
Yeah, you know, there's pieces there. There's pieces in that room, which is exciting as a player. We've got a ton of talent. We're young, and now it's about putting those things together. So with that comes the responsibility of how do we make these pieces work. And every player is going to have to take this off season, do some serious reflecting. I'm going to have to look myself in the mirror and what can I do better to make this team better. And I think you get a group, all raising their own personal standard, the whole team standard can rise. So we've got pieces, but pieces are only pieces unless you put them together.
Hockey's obviously a sport that if you play it long enough, there's a lot of wear and tear on your body. Just wondering how you're feeling physically going into the off season, and how are you planning to approach, from your own perspective, training and all that kind of stuff this season?
Yeah, health-wise, I feel good. Luckily my body is in some good shape right now, which is good. There's always little things and nagging things that as you get a little older that you're always keeping an eye on, and always having to work to keep on top of those things. But yeah, as you look to the summer and you try and think, how can I get away from this, and physically, emotionally, and mentally. Those are the pieces. So you get away from it, and then how do you address those three things to be better next season? And I've put a plan together with people that I work with, and sit down next week and see what that looks like in terms of timing and training, and when does that start, and when do we start this, and when do you start skating, and so I'll be addressed very, very shortly, and you kind of put your plan together and stick to it, and get ready for another season. That we all know that if we're all gonna have to get better. So I'll be looking at this off season as an opportunity to, you don't get this much time all the time, so I'll have plenty of time, which hopefully is coming to the end of having all this time, but you get the time, you got to use it. So I'm planning on using it, and if you're not getting better in this league, you're left behind. So find a way to get better in all aspects.
Sean, everyone handles adversity differently. Obviously this was a year full of adversities for the team. So as a leader of the team, was that something that you kind of noticed different players handled it differently, and did it bring some of the players closer together, or maybe even separate some of them?
Yeah, what a challenging year. Adversity all over the place, and no lack of crazy things happening, and seeing crazy things happen, and as a player, just try and get through it. I think you talk about leadership and stuff, and you look back, and I haven't completed reflecting on this year, but definitely you see some things that you weren't ready for maybe, and I'd say there's disappointment in personally about how you handle some things, and how you bring them with you or leave them behind, and what to choose and what to dwell on, and what to leave there. And I think I learned a lot about that this year, and things I wish I handled better personally. How to handle some of these losses, and keeping your emotions in check, and not being if you want to be a leader, you got to show some control on that, and things I'd like to see myself get better at.
John, as a guy who grew up here, this is all very personal to you as well as professional. Does that make the losing even more difficult?
That's a good question. I think there's two sides to that, because the losing is always very difficult. But man, was it challenging this year. So, and there was a lot of it, and now I'm at home, and the losing stings. Yeah, and so maybe it does, being at home, makes it hurt a little more than it would if anything. I don't want to minimize though the losses in general. Just stink for sure.
And does that make the fire burn even hotter this summer when you really get into it? How do you keep it from getting demoralizing, I guess?
Yeah. Porty, for me, I think it's controlling the fire more than keeping the fire. So that's kind of where I try and, personally, where I need to stay is controlling it and channeling it in the right ways. Is always, I feel like, there's always fire there for me, and but you know, if you don't use it correctly, it can be negative also. So definitely a ton of fire. This you know, this team, this organization, this city, it means a lot to me, and the success this team is, I take it personally. So for right or for wrong, maybe I'll have to figure out how to do a better job of that.
Sean, as a veteran who's been around this league for a while, I'm wondering. I mean, you had a bunch of young guys come to that locker room this year, obviously, but you know, one of them was Kirill Marchenko. I'm wondering, just from I guess his personality standpoint, what did that do for the room this year to just have a guy who seems like he's always eternally positive?
Yeah, it was great, and he brings a good attitude, and just as important, he played some really good hockey, and that's what we need. Yeah, like you said, it's not always from the older guys down. I mean, you can get inspired by a young guy coming in and looking around and him realizing this is his first thing in the NHL that he's seeing. And it kind of, as a guy that's, you know, been around a few years, you look back like, oh, it's kind of a cool reminder of what it's like to be here. And you get a quick reminder of how lucky you are and what a responsibility you have on your shoulders to figure out how to perform and be a good teammate and be a good leader and be a good example. So Marchie was a really big bright spot this year for us, and a really good teammate, played good hockey. So he's got a lot to be proud of how it went for him this year, and I think we got a lot to look forward in him, and for us to have success, he's gonna keep getting better, which will be good, and he's gonna have to.
Sean, as part of the leadership group that you have, how much input do you want or maybe expect to have in the coaching search? Do you really want to be involved in that and let the management know what you expect?
You know, we have full faith in management, and trust them to do their job and do their due diligence. I think what you do is you answer questions and give honest feedback. We're all trying to go in the same direction here, so it's being as honest as you can with feedback, and letting them make the appropriate decision. We have all the faith in the world that they will. But it's on us our responsibility is to give them what they need to make that decision, and that's what we plan on doing.